September 7th.
You were too fast. You have to start over.
Okay, welcome to our BOS September 7th, 2023 meeting. This meeting is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Healy's executive order of March 12, 2023. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. As a preliminary matter, I will identify meeting manager. I am the chair of the BOS, Bob Springett. Permit me to confirm that all members, yes. Please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. John Jeffries.
Here.
Robin Hunter.
Present.
Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mike Blanchard.
Here.
Carl Valente.
Present.
I think that's it on Kyle.
Present.
Okay. Anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative. I'm not sure. It will be the people from our town Hilltop Securities, but I don't have their name.
Melissa Toland.
Okay, there we go. So I think we're ready to rock. So citizens' comments.
So Pete Flavin is the wife of Nicole, the husband of Nicole Safarian. Nicole is the abutter who sent us the email earlier, and I asked that Nicole join us this evening so we could address her concerns. She's unable to do it. She is on the faculty at Harvard and has a previous commitment. Pete is here with us. Pete, how are you? I can see him, but looks like he's connecting. Mona, is Pete in?
He's right here.
Yep, I can see him.
Okay, so citizens' comments.
Pete, can you hear us?
Hit that bottom right on the thing.
Yeah, I don't know if his screen is frozen or if his... Pete, can you hear us?
Cannot.
Okay. Pete, can you hear us now? So Bob, it looks like he's got a audio or technical issue. I believe everybody has seen the email and Mike's reply. Pete, can you hear us? Bob, is there? I'm going to send him a text. He is.
So if there's Mike, if there's no, if we can't get him, should we just read the letter as a comment?
I can do that, Bob, if you'd like. I can pull it up.
Or at least that gets it on the record and people know what we're talking about.
Well, it's a very long email. Why don't we just give a synopsis?
Well, I mean, it says comments are allowed for up to 10 minutes, right?
Oh, okay.
So,
I have it available if you'd like me to read it. Oh, looks like Peter's talking. We can't hear him.
We can't hear him.
Why not send a chat that he might be able to see?
We're halfway through the citizen comment period. You want, what do you got? I'm going to suggest, Mike, you read the
Okay,
letter.
yep, I just pulled it up. So it was an email this morning at 1:24 a.m. It says, "Dear Town of Dover, I'm writing to express my deep concern and frustration regarding the all-night loud construction activity that is occurring behind my residence at 13 Meeting House Hill Road. The purpose of this letter is to bring the issue to your attention and seek a resolution to prevent such disruption in the future. On the night of September 7th, 2023, I was prevented from sleeping by extremely loud and illuminated construction that's taking place directly behind my house. This activity will continue through the next few nights, making it impossible for my family to get any sleep. We were not informed of this construction work in advance, nor was there any notification provided to the residents regarding this disruptive project. I am a working professional, and not being able to sleep for multiple nights will affect my work performance. I'm concerned that I was not provided with any prior notice about these construction activities. As a responsible homeowner, I believe that residents should be informed about any significant construction project that may affect their daily lives, especially when they involve loud and disruptive work during nighttime hours. Proper communication would have allowed me to prepare for these disruptions and make necessary arrangements to stay in a hotel to minimize the impact of my daily routine. I've attached a video from 1:30 a.m., which is when I am writing this, to highlight that my backyard is the big dig. I understand that construction is a necessary part of a community development, but it is essential that residents are kept informed about such activities, especially when they occur during nighttime hours. Lack of notification not only affects our quality of life, but also raises safety concerns for those who may have been unaware of potential hazards associated with the construction. I kindly request the following actions to address this issue. Number 1, notification. Please ensure that residents in the affected area are notified in advance of any future construction activities that may disrupt their daily lives, especially if they are expected to occur during nighttime hours. Number 2, tax reduction. Provide a fair reduced tax rate for residents that abut the town yard and suffer from it due to noise related to construction or any other disturbances. Number 3, ensure that future construction projects in our community adhere to noise regulations and consider the well-being of nearby residents. Number 4, establish a clear and efficient system for notifying residents about upcoming construction projects, including the expected duration and working hours. And number 5, encourage construction crews to minimize noise during nighttime hours, particularly in residential areas. I kindly request a prompt response to this letter and an update on the action taken to address these issues. She provides her contact information, and it's from Nicole Stefarian.
Thank you. So thank you, Nicole. Sorry for the inconvenience. It's not policy for us to respond to citizen comments. As far as I'm concerned, the issue has been referred to the town administrator, who will make every attempt to answer your questions and concerns as we go forward. So thank you again. So I'm going to move on to 1.1.
Hi, Bob. Can I have
Yeah.
Hi, this is Pete Flavin. I am Nicole's husband of 13 Meeting House Hill Road, Dover.
Yes,
My wife actually wrote the email at 1:30 this morning.
yes,
So, I mean, I totally understand that projects have to go forward. It just, with only essentially 3 abutters to the current situation, maybe a letter or something could have been put in the mailbox. I mean, I heard that it was on social media. I mean, I don't necessarily go to social media to see if there's any construction projects that are going forward in the town. And we are basically ground zero. Like all these machines are literally 25 feet from our bedroom. And I mean, I think all we really needed was a heads up. That's all.
well, yes, thank you. And I think we'll make sure that in the future we also email, but the town is moving to digital platforms. And there was a certain responsibility on the part of citizens to engage. So we didn't do 100% job, and we'll certainly take that into consideration going forward. And again, it's what I think this is a 1 or 2 night thing.
Yes.
Yes.
And then we can move on. So I thought the letter was well written. Thank you. And again, it's being in the hands of the town administrator.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Okay, 1.1, presentation by town financial advisor, Hilltop Securities on issuing debt.
I'll kick this off, Mr. Chairman. Just by way of brief background for folks who are listening in, the board had asked for 4 presentations regarding the operations of our treasurer's office. At your last meeting, we presented the board with a draft investment policy, so that was the first presentation. Tonight, we'll talk about the role of the town's financial advisor, which is related to whenever the town issues debt. And then in subsequent meetings, we'll talk about the town's investment manager. And then finally, we'll wrap up with the board asks us to talk about the operational capabilities of the treasurer's office. Tonight, we have 2 speakers here, presenters from Hilltop Securities, Cinder McNerney, who is the regional managing director, and Melissa Toland, who's the vice president. And I'll just tell for both Cinder and Melissa, the board received your presentation in advance, so they've had the opportunity to review it. Given the limited time we have this evening, there's no need for you to go through this. We really want to spend most of the time for the 2 of you answering any questions the board may have. So if you could keep your sort of presentation remarks to 3 or 4 minutes, and then we can get into any questions or comments the board has. And I'll know Cinder or Melissa, which of you wants to kick that off?
I'm going to do that. I'm Cinder McNerney. Carl just introduced me. I'm not going to go through the presentation at all. I think it's somewhat self-explanatory, and I understand that time is very limited. The role of the financial advisor is critical to the issuance of debt for cities and towns in Massachusetts. We coordinate and act as the middleman between all the different vendors associated with the issuance of debt. We coordinate the activities of the rating agency, the bond counsel, the printing company that prints up the disclosure document, the paying agent, and we help we help the town put together the disclosure document that's used to advertise the sale of short or long-term debt. And we structure the town's debt with it to suit the goals of the town. We assist on credit policy. We assist on fiscal policies. We are very active in the market. We probably are the largest financial advisor at the local level in Massachusetts. We've worked with the town for more than 25 years as its financial advisor. We help the town with its continuing disclosure requirements at the end of March every year. We try to keep the town current on what else is going on in the market with regard to interest rates and what's going on with expectations for market rates and with what's going on with the rating agencies and what's expected of the town to maintain its AAA credit rating. We help coordinate we coordinate the sale and the delivery and the advertisement of the debt. And we offer some investment options for bond proceeds. We have an ARB rebate group that works on arbitrage rebate calculations if bond proceeds or note proceeds aren't spent in the time frame expected by federal tax law. And that's basically us in a nutshell. We have a fiduciary responsibility under the new requirements of Dodd-Frank to our advice is based on what's in the best interest of the town at all times. And we are our platform is from a securities firm, so we're highly regulated, and we're also highly tested for purposes of being able to provide financial advisory services like this. So we're happy to answer any questions that you have. I don't think that's basically who we are.
And Cinder, could you just explain, the board was interested in how the fee schedule is determined when we issue debt?
Sure. Our fees are based on basically the size of the amount of bonds being sold or the amount of notes being sold. and the effort that goes into that. There is some flexibility to charge extra fees associated with complicated debt structures or complicated other kinds of things that we do in connection with the issuance of debt. So there's ranges of fees, but basically for notes are less expensive. Notes generally run from up to 1 year term, and the fees are less. The fees are generally around $1 per thousand plus $1,500 to $2,500 for a note issue. And for bonds, it's generally $15,000 base plus $1.50 per thousand. We have caps. I mean, if you were to issue $50 million worth of debt, we generally have caps on that. All of our debt is subject to satisfaction and negotiation with the town, all of our fees. But we do have fee schedules. I believe the town has that. We have a contract with the town. If you like, I can share that. I mean, I'm assuming you have a copy of that. We have, the fees, our fees, the fees associated with debt can be paid for out of a capital project. It's actually project cost. It's not the most expensive aspect of debt issuance. Debt issuance, the biggest component is the yield on that's to the investor, which is part of the interest rate that you pay, as you know, I'm sure. Bond counsel charges a fee to the extent you have a very small issue. We might go through the Bureau of Accounts, but those notes tend to be more expensive, even though there's less cost. The rating agencies are, generally on bonds about the same as our fees on not such large issues. I don't know if that's a good enough explanation of the fees.
Yeah, I think that's quite nice, Cindy. Thank.
I mean, I'm happy to answer any questions. I've been doing this for decades. And I know you want time was of the essence.
Well, you do sound quite experienced. Is Melissa going to speak, or should I move on to questions from the board?
No, you can move on to questions. We weren't planning to do a dog and pony show. We sent what we did. We weren't quite sure what the expectation was, and we definitely have been given notice that it's short. So we're here. We're happy to make it very concise.
Thank you very much, John.
Cindy, what's your role in the process with us?
Well, we work in teams on everything we do, so that internally, and I make sure that the team, and Melissa is part of the team. There's another person that's part of the team, Abby Jeffers, but she's not here tonight. So there's 3 of us that work on what the town is doing and generally know what the town needs at all times. We CC each other on any kind of a request or any kind of a distribution of any product to the town, so that we always know what's going on. If there's a question, I think we've pretty much got the town CCing the 3 of us on everything that they want, so that if one of us is unavailable, the others, you'll get an answer and a response very quickly. We pride ourselves on how quickly we respond to the needs of all the communities we work with. I'm basically the project manager, though. I review everything that's going on with the project for quality assurance. The most important aspect of what we do is give advice. We don't just process the issuance of debt. We give advice that's based on what the town, specifically what Dover wants and what Dover needs and Dover's goals. And we look at the whole picture, and we're all doing that all the time. We're very organized and have a lot of different kinds of record keeping that we keep internally, so that at a glance we can see where Dover's at with its outstanding debt and its debt authorizations. And we know what the situation is with regard to, for example, unspent bond proceeds or whatever, additional debt authorizations. We're right smack in the middle of everything that you've got going on in terms of your need to borrow money, access the market, concern yourself with credit. That's not such a concern, but concern yourself with credit issues, all of that, fiscal policies. And we know the latest because we're interacting with the rating agencies and the market on a daily basis, all day, every day.
Who did you give the advice to?
Well, typically I work with Carl and with Kyle, and I'd like to work with Michael. We typically work with, in cities with the mayors and the CFOs and the treasurers and the finance directors and the auditors, and the same in towns with town management. We don't typically work with the Board of Selectmen or the finance committee.
Why?
So what?
Not enrolled.
What?
It's not
Why?
the board's role, it's the town administrator's role.
So
Right,
who
and
did
it's the town treasurer who's responsible for the borrowing under Massachusetts
Gotcha.
general law. So we primarily work with the treasurer, but to the extent that
So in
there's
this case, in the most recent issuance, did you work with Mr. Lane or did you work with Carl?
The most recent issuance, so which are we talking about? The small note issue, or are we talking about the big bond issue?
Yeah,
Bond issue.
both-
The
both of them.
6.6 million.
Right, both of them, she worked directly with me. On the
Yeah.
bond issue and the note issue.
But are you speaking
Okay.
about the bond issue for the community center?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, is that
And-
was a
and
yes?
so
Sorry.
You said in your remarks, you've been doing this for 25 years. Periodically, how frequently do you update any of the correspondence to either Carl or to Mr. Lane or to the board, or what's the process of that?
Of updating what aspect? I couldn't quite hear you, you broke up.
You said you've been doing this for 25 years, yet we've never met you. Robin's been doing this for 12 years. I've been doing it for 9 years. Bob has been doing it for 6 years. So how frequently do you interact with the treasurer or the financial team?
Well, for starters, I've been working with the town for 25 years. I've been doing this for 50 years, but I have worked with the town for the last 25,
I'm
30
just
years.
concerned with the town of Dover.
Right, so I've come out to the town of Dover regularly. Before COVID, we would come out every time there was a bond issue. What's happened since COVID is nobody really wants to see us, but we don't generally interact with the Board of Selectmen. There's been a lot of turnover in the town of Dover with regard to the treasurer role over years. I've known Carl for a really long time. I work with Carl a lot, and we go back and forth on anything Carl wants to talk about. I'm happy to talk about with Carl. I'm happy to talk to anybody in the town that wants to talk to me. I could talk for hours. But so what we've,
It appears so.
I've come out there often.
So the process seems to be these people work with the town administrator, not the Board of Selectmen. It would be up to
Right.
the town
Oh.
administrator to inform the Board of Selectmen of issues concerning the financial advisors. So we should move on.
So your team has been with the town for 25 years. Can you just summarize in the most recent debt offerings, how much did you get paid by the town?
Well, I didn't come prepared to talk about that, but on the, I think it was around a $18 million issue for the community center. We probably got $15,000 base plus $1.50 per thousand. On the recent note issue, which is 800,000, that's currently outstanding. I think we probably got 1,500 plus 50 cents or $1 per thousand, of that par amount of bonds. So probably
Right.
around 2,500, 3,000 on the note, and probably close to 45,000 maybe on the bond. I'd have to double check that. I mean, I just don't
Sure.
remember.
What this line of questioning is, I'm assuming that your rates are in line with other advisors.
Our rates are pretty much in line with other advisors. There's not so many of us in the business anymore. It's not a particularly lucrative business to be in. The underwriting side of this business has always been the more lucrative side of the business to be in. Our fees are in line with bond counsel. I can say that they're more expensive than the rating agency, who spends about an hour talking to the town in connection with any kind of a note or bond issue that needs to be rated. Generally, only your bond issues do. And our fees, it depends on where they're at. I can see where this conversation is going a little bit. I'm reluctant to, you in this world, you get a little bit, you get what you pay for. Our fees cover a lot of services besides just, and the most important, like I said already, is the advice. But our fees it can cover multiple years of activity. I was involved with that, with the senior center, when it was only going to cost 10 million, and the town didn't go forward with it. We worked with the town over the years until it finally came to market in a year and a half ago. So that was a long time. We worked with the town on all the debt statements in connection with one of the legal requirements that's required with by bond counsel. We work on the DE1s, we work on the SOIs, we work on any kind of a debt service schedule that anybody might want to see, to get an idea as to what something might cost. We provide regular information. We provide debt models to the extent that that's desired, where we look at your existing debt and we add on different options for new debt and future debt. We do a lot of services
recently for us. Cinda, did you do
What's
that
that?
recently? Did you do that recently for us when we issued this most recent bond? Did you help Carl Valenti in that capacity?
Melissa, did we,
Um,
that was a debt exclusion, so I think that
Yeah,
it kind of
I'll-
stood.
Yeah, let me actually answer that because I also been doing this long enough that I developed my own model for modeling the debt. So in that particular case in the 18 million, I did not ask Hilltop to develop the debt model. Because I do it on my own. I need to do the what ifs that the board or other people ask me about. So over the years, I just have my own model that I've developed that we use.
I know that I could add something to that debt issue because it's unique. You're not the only one who's issued a community center and then found out that the project cost came in higher than the amount that was originally authorized. But you are one of the only ones that borrowed at the incredible rate of 1.79 true interest costs on a 20-year equal principal bond issue at the time. And despite the fact that the money got, what has been held up, or the project's been held up, that right now you would be borrowing that at probably 3.5%. And on that amount of money, that would be millions of extra additional interest costs. So you really, I don't know how the board reacts to the fact that you're in an ARB rebate position. I mean, you don't have to rebate everything you've earned, but you only have to rebate what came in over the permissible yield on those bonds. But you've saved so much more money on the rate at which you borrowed all that money than the cost of giving the federal government back some of the interest that you earned that you weren't supposed to earn in the first place had you spent the money in the time frame that had been expected.
Johnny
That
can
was-
wrap.
That was all my idea.
To borrow it.
Yeah, to borrow, exactly.
Yeah.
So, thank you. Cinda, just to be clear, we're not trying to offer any type of indictment, criticism. We're not here to in any way dig into something that we think is nefarious. We are trying to understand the process.
Okay.
You have helped us in your presentation this evening understand it. As you said, there has been turnover. We need to chart a course that is consistent with our expectations and the expectations of the people who elect us and the people who we've just hired. So if anything, what you've done this evening is confirm that we have taken every step we possibly can to put our town in the best position we can be. So from that perspective, all I can say is thank you for your help with Carl. Thank you for making this a bit clearer. And I'm sure we'll have more questions. So can we do this at some other time and just have the direct questions through, obviously through Kyle, through Carl, and that you can report back to us?
Sure, and I hope that, we didn't mean to send you 50 pages of information, but that if you get a chance to take a peek through there, you can see all the more.
I've read it all twice.
Okay.
I've read it all twice. I've explained it to Bob. Robin will read it in the next 20 or 30 minutes. And don't you worry about a thing. It's very helpful.
We do aim to overserve. So whatever you want us to do, or whatever we can, however we can help, or whatever we can do to assist, we're happy to do that. And thanks for having us tonight.
Robin, anything?
So first of all, thank you for putting together the information. It was extremely helpful. I went through it as well. We actually got our packages kind of early, so it was great because it was a lot of information to go through. Certainly from a fiduciary standpoint, I think having advisors is the right thing for the town to do. And again, I agree with your comments. You're working with the town treasurer, the town administrator, a finance director when it comes to us issuing bonds. And we do appreciate that you're looking after Dover's interests, and we'll do what needs to get done so that we can feel confident in the bonds that we're issuing and how much debt we're carrying, because it is very important to this town to maintain our AAA rating. So thank you. Appreciate the partnership that we have with Hilltop.
Thank you.
So, Cinder, we, as you had pointed out earlier in your presentation, and as we've lived the past year, we have had a tremendous amount of change within the town administration. We lost the town administrator, we hired a new town administrator, we hired a new treasurer. We've kept Carl around for 5 years now on an interim basis. And so I can understand how, and so we were concerned about it because as we went through some of these processes, we were a little shocked by failure in some of the areas. And so as a Board of Selectmen, what we tried to do is make sure that when we look at all these processes that haven't really been examined closely in several years, that we cover all the bases and we can walk away feeling we've done due diligence on the part of the town and that we are working with top-notch people and that our organization is being developed in a way to maximize effectiveness with that organization. So I echo John's comments that this has given us the Board of Selectmen an opportunity to look a little bit deeper into how the town works, but ultimately these responsibilities do not sit with the Board of Selectmen, they sit with the town administrator. And there's a definite line between running the town and creating policy. So, but I mean, in this particular year, it's sort of got mixed up a little bit. And as we extricate ourselves from that and Mike gets comfortable and Carl gets comfortable and Kyle gets comfortable, I think we'll go back to a more traditional setup. So thank you very much, Melissa. Thank you very much. Very much appreciate you guys coming, helping us out, the work that you do, and look forward to continuing the relationship.
Thanks again for having us. We really appreciate working with the town and we're happy to give you whatever we can to help.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. I'm going to move on to 1.2, award consulting services contract for treasurer collector's office. Thank you, Suzanne and Melissa. I don't know if you guys want to drop out or what.
We'll drop off. Have a nice evening.
It's not going to be scintillating conversation.
No, have fun.
And there's no champagne. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Have a nice
Thank you
night.
very much.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll kick off this item as well. This is regarding some additional consulting services or other consulting services that we have in the treasurer's office. We've had a firm helping us out there for a little over 2 years now. And we had to go back out with an RFP for these services under the procurement law. So we issued an RFP this summer, and we're recommending that the Board of Selectmen award this consulting services contract to a firm called Mass Munifin. They are the firm that has been working with us the last couple of years. They've been a tremendous help to that office in terms of a lot of the technology improvements that we've been making. And we'll have that discussion about those improvements at a subsequent board meeting. But we've relied heavily on this particular firm to help us make those technology improvements, which is in line with the direction the board set well over 3 years ago about making greater use of technology in our day-to-day operations. So I can answer any questions the board may have. I tried to give you a bit of a background on this contract and the RFP and how we evaluated Mass Munifin and why we're recommending the award to them.
Carl, the only question that I have is regarding the processes. Mass Munifin was the only respondent to the RFP, and it sounds like it's like most of the things that we're dealing with nowadays, it is a very specialized part of these processes. We are finding, as is the case with Hilltop or as the case with other people that we're negotiating with, that there's only a handful of firms or companies that are out there. And it seems like that this is something do we have any, is there any other choice? Obviously there was no respondents, so there's no one else you can pick, but why are there no other respondents?
Well, I've reached out to two others. One that is very similar in terms of quality, staff quality to Mass Munifin. And they are so booked, for lack of a better term, in terms of other work, that they're just not taking on new jobs. And, you know, at one point, we were asking Mass Munifin to give us additional hours because we felt we needed them with some of the goals we had. And they weren't able to do that. They just with their other clients they have. So they believe by the end of September, they'll be able to give us some additional hours, but it's a very difficult market. And part of that's because there's just a limit on finding municipal treasurers, experienced people.
Yeah.
Communities are needing to rely more and more on these firms like Mass Munifin.
We have,
It's very challenging. I'm very grateful we were able to lock up some of their time, but other communities are really struggling to find firms that can provide them with services.
got it. And I just read in your notes that they're proficient with Vadar. They've worked with Harper's, so time and payroll. This seems like it's a very good fit all the way through.
I've been very pleased with them, and I don't want to speak for Kyle, but I think he's found that they've been extremely helpful as he's transitioned into Dover and the work he needs to do.
They don't put a maximum, or they don't put a dollar amount that is in the contract. Are you anticipating a dollar amount, or they give obviously per hourly for the various consultants?
You know, that's a good question. And in the RFP, I did list the maximum. And I don't have that right in front of me right now, but there is a maximum that we did establish with them.
And Carl, on average, how many hours a week are they spending, or is it project specific?
It's both. So right now they are 1 day a week on site.
Okay,
And then they also can do work for us remotely. And so they're usually doing work for Dover at least 2 days a week, 1 day on site, and usually another day that they're doing work remotely.
Where are they from, Carl?
They are headquartered in one of the little
Hardwick, Mass.
one of the little hill towns in the western part of the state.
Where'd you see that, Robin?
It is on page 44 of the PDF.
So it is concerning to me, the difficulty that we're experiencing.
Oh, yeah. Good for you.
With providing resources for the town and the team and you're suggesting, your wording, Carl, is that it's endemic at this point.
Yeah.
So,
It is, and I've been, and believe me, I've been making calls around because we're going to need some additional help beyond what Mass Munifin can provide, and I've been making calls for the last month trying to see if I can line up additional help.
Well,
So I mean, it's this kind of stuff, you know, between you and Mike is really something that you should keep it kind of in front of our faces as we go through this difficult period and trying to restaff, trying to onboard, trying to provide people with the help that they need to get their job done. So it should sort of be raised up as how we doing with this as we go through time here. because I clearly, it just seems like, we're in a quite difficult moment, and hopefully that will abate, but who knows? Kyle, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I just want to say that like what Carl said, the quality of work from Mass Munifin is fantastic, and the folks that we work with have, over a decade of experience, really. So they've been really helpful.
So you can come into the office now, put your feet up on your desk and take it
Maybe after hours, but
easy. Thank you.
Robin, Sarah Hunter is no relationship to you, right?
Correct. I do want to say though that, I really think being a small town is like being a small business, and you don't have a deep bench, and having partnerships with strategic consultants is really important, because that gives you the depth that you need. Employees are going to get sick, they need to go on vacation, and having a trusted partner that can make sure things get done is really, really, really important.
Yeah,
So
Robin, that's been
Having
the,
these
that's-
arrangements in place
Yeah.
are really a good strategy.
yeah, no, that's been the strategy all along, for precisely those reasons. We need to get collateral support or capacity support through some firms in order to have the resources we need if and when people move on, or if and when people are on vacation. And so the best example,
Get sick,
get sick, yes, or get sick.
I had this guy that worked for me, and actually when he retired, I found a book called Getting Hit by a Bus, because he always said, we have to plan for when I get hit by a bus.
Yeah. Did he get hit by a bus?
Right. No. He's
So-
enjoying retirement.
So right now, the most effective use of an outside consulting firm, I think, is retrofit. And I think retrofit went from a very modest contract working with hardware to a much more extensive contract. And reporting from Mike and from Carl, they've been doing a pretty darn good job managing the whole sort of package that comes with technology, and that model seems to work. Licensing, version control, hardware, all that kind of stuff. So if we can find good firms, to help us out, I agree 1000% that that's the way to provide added capacity or backup as we go through time. So I agree with that. I think that's the right strategy.
I think Munifin is in the same category, because the DOR came in here, they gave us a list of gaps so that we could achieve best practices. We also had new software we were implementing. We had management letter items that we wanted to address while getting work done. So, and they were able to step in, offer a second set of hands, and really deliver extremely high quality work.
Robin, when we get that silver book in March, that is the audit book, is Mass Munifin the firm that helps us put that book together?
Are you talking about the financial statements? That's the audit report, and
Yeah,
the external
the audit report.
auditors do that, right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
what auditors get paid for, that opinion. So
So
That's
they put it together.
That's a different firm.
Yeah.
The audit firm is different.
It's the
I'm sorry,
external.
It's the auditing firm that provides the document is a different firm than Mass Munifin.
There,
what I know that they're a different firm, but does Mass Munifin help us with the process of working with the auditors, just as Robin was just alluding to?
remediating some of the management letter items.
Yes.
I think they have for some of them helped us put the processes in.
I'm just why I'm asking that question, Robin, is on page 7 of Carl's report, which is page 40 of our book, but page 7 of Carl's report, just in the duties and in the bullet points of the duties, there seems to be a lot of the day-to-day the duties that Mass Munifin will be performing that are needed with the audit, so that there is no missing parts of our audit.
Right.
Well, certainly that number one bullet, if you're looking at the same page I am about the cash book.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, has been in the management letter
For years.
every year I've been here, which is, not that long, but the last 4 years. So,
Seems like 15 years, Kyle.
yeah, but we're, yeah, but
Like
we are
25
actually,
to him.
we've made tremendous progress, actually in that regard. And I'm actually really pleased because that's one of Kyle's area of expertise. So we're able to transition. Mass Muni-Fin's going to finish up with last fiscal year on the cash book, fiscal 23. And then we're transitioning all that over to Kyle. And we're going to redirect Mass Muni-Fin then to some other high priority tasks that the auditors have identified.
Good.
Progress is slow and hard, but it's being made.
Progress is always slow and hard. Okay, so I'm going to go to the motion if there are no more comments or questions. So I move to award the Treasurer Collector's Office Consulting Services contract to Mass Munifin for the period of October 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2025, and authorize the town administrator to sign said contract on behalf of the town.
Seconded.
All in favor, I, Bob Springett.
Hi, John Jeffries.
Hi, Robin Hunter.
Wow. Robin, where's the town of Blandford? It
I
must
have
be
no
next to.
idea. I could
There
Google
are
it.
3 towns listed. No, don't Google it. There are 3 towns listed on the document with the references and where the company is from that you found on page 40. And I've lived here my whole life and I have not even heard of these towns.
Gotta get outside of 495. Yeah, they're out there.
He already knows Wellesley and Needham and Medfield and Dover, for crying out loud. He never ventured.
I know the Berkshires.
All right,
These
so-
towns you can't find these towns in the Berkshires. My goodness.
All right.
Great,
Ladies
thank you.
and
Good
gentlemen,
night.
I'm going to move on to item 1.3, which I think has been withdrawn.
Right.
Yes.
My understanding is the building committee will meet on Monday, the 11th, and this thing may come up toward the end of at our next meeting.
That's correct.
Okay, item 1.4. Discussion and vote regarding the approval of the 2023 asset management grant project entitled Town of Dover Stormwater Asset Management Plan, and the ever lovely Kevin McCabe is going to bring us up to speed on this.
Good evening to the board. I'm sure for you and viewers, just a reminder, we put out a press release on May 3rd about the award for grant. So since that point, we've been working on all the financial backings and back and forth with the state. So this is more or less just a housekeeping item to vote and authorize the town administrator to enter into an agreement with the DEP. What this work's going to entail is live data. It's going to have GIS data of all of our drainage conveyance systems. So the entire network, the pipes, the catch basins, the drain manholes, the outfalls, the culverts and bridges in the community. And then part of that data, they'll analyze it, look at the structural condition, the asset age, the estimated remaining useful life, and then the probability of failure, which will be ever indebted in for my department as far as planning these infrastructure projects, these long range projects for the community.
And I think most importantly, Kevin, we received a grant to do this, right?
That's correct. Yes.
John, anything?
Nothing.
Okay, move to approve the 2023 asset management grant project entitled Town of Dover Stormwater Asset Management Plan, CWSRF number 11391, and to authorize the town administrator to sign documents related to the grant.
Second,
All in favor, I, Bob Springett.
I, John Jeffries.
Hi, Robin Hunter.
Good, thank you very much.
Thank you to the board.
A nice thing to get our hands wrapped around some of these older issues and potential problems. Thank you. Item 1.5. Award bid to Dish Wireless LLC for lease of space on existing tower and ground space at the Dover Highway Department facility parcel.
Bob, if you'd be so kind, our special counsel for telecommunications, Attorney Bill Solomon, intended to be present tonight. I do not see him in the participant list.
No, do I.
He is the expert on this, and if it was possible, perhaps we could deal with some of the other items and then get back to this, hoping he joins.
Yeah, fine, no problem.
Thank you.
We'll defer action on this now, move to 1.6. And Bill is quite the expert.
He
And
is.
we all know Bill. Mike.
Okay, good.
We all know Bill, yeah, we all know Bill. He, quite an impressive guy. He, where the heck am I now?
You have to go to page 74.
Somebody, yeah,
PDF.
Just going down, 1.6. Board, committee, commission, and staff appointments. Okay, summary. The chairs of towns, of board, committees, commissions have requested that the Board of Selectmen appoint or reappoint individual to their boards, committees, commissions. Additionally, staff members whose terms have expired will be appointed or reappointed to their respective positions. So do I make the motion or do I go through the list?
It says the appointments do not have to be voted on individually.
Individually, but
I
do they
think you
have
have
to
to
be,
go through the list,
they have to be articulated?
right? So you have to go through the list.
So I'll go through the list and then go back to the motion.
So Mike, for the town election workers, does Bob need to read all the individuals on the list?
It's like 33.
What's that, Bob?
There's like 33 people on that
Yeah,
list.
so I actually believe it was posted with the agenda.
It was
So I believe you can reference it as posted with the agenda.
perfect. Because I wouldn't want to be responsible for messing up the pronunciation of some of these names.
Yes, and that's why it wasn't all listed out in the agenda either. It was an attachment to make it a little easier. Bob, I'd be happy to talk through the first one. So there's a memo in your packet from Chief McGowan.
Yeah, so
Yeah. So as the public knows, the chief is nearing, well, he has retired. He's been working under his retirement allowed hours. And that's coming to a close the middle of September. And so he has recommended that Sergeant Todd Wilcox be appointed as acting chief, while, and I know John later will talk about the police chief search process,
exactly.
but as that concludes, I had the opportunity to meet with Sergeant Wilcox. I was very impressed. He's very eager and willing to serve this important role. He does serve a very important day-to-day function already at the police department, and I think will be real critical asset when the new chief is hired, is he will be able to maintain kind of the day-to-day operations and nitty-gritty of paperwork and administrative end of things. The new chief then could take time to get out in the community, get to know the community, as opposed to getting bogged down in some of that administrative business. So I concur with the chief's recommendation and hope the board will as well.
Good, then, so the following individuals will be appointed for various terms. Dover Police Department, as discussed, appoint Sergeant Todd Wilcox as Dover's acting police chief effective September 20th, 2023. Until a new police chief is hired. Conservation Commission appoint Amira Quarishi to fill unexpired term of Christy Violin, which expires on June 30th. Cultural Council, reappoint Antonio Sinez, one-year term effective July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. Reappoint Judy Schultz, Sashi Chwala, Denny Auclair, 3-year terms effective July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 26. Appoint Steve Leahy, 3-year term effective July 31st to June 30th, 2023. Town workers, as discussed earlier, it's part of the agenda, so I don't necessarily have to go to each of them, but obviously we need to reappoint the election workers. There are about 33 of them, and it's amazing that we use so many people to conduct elections, and we're lucky that we have 33 people who stand up and volunteer their time to make it as smooth as possible. So
I second the nomination.
I gotta go back to the bloody, so I think I covered it, right, Mike? I'm gonna go back to the motion.
You
Yes.
did, Bob, you did a fine job.
I move to reappoint all individuals to the town's boards, committees, commissions, and staff members to various positions as presented.
Seconded.
All in favor, I, Bob Springett.
I, John Jeffries.
I, Robin Hunter.
Okay. So it looks like we are at Board of Selectmen items. Item 1.7.
I'd be happy to start, Mr.
Yeah, you, John, you have both. You have what? You have the chief search.
Yep.
And you had a meeting, and was it Hale, the other guy?
Inhale. Yes, inhale. So start with the chief search and the update. So the committee met again on Tuesday night. The first phase was taking the 12 applicants that we identified from the 30 applicants on our first phase. We reduced the list to 12. The goal on Tuesday night was to take that 12 to 6. We went through a rigorous 2.5-hour process of vetting all the applicants, and we've reduced the list to 6. It was just a tribute to the selection team, our consultant Russ Stevens, Michael Blanchard, who has sat through all of these meetings with us, and Michael, I simply think it was very impressive conversation. What did you think? What was, I never asked you your reaction.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think, from a outside perspective, I was very impressed how, as a committee, the opinions on the candidates kind of coalesced and were very similar. And I think, despite certainly going through and having very good conversation, it was pretty obvious that there was a really good consensus on the candidates that the committee wanted to move forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's exactly the right word. It was thorough, it was thoughtful, it was a consensus building effort, and we really took a painstaking amount of time to make sure that there was nothing about an applicant that we didn't discuss, and that the ones who were on the bubble, we really thoroughly vetted. So I was really impressed with the depth and the time that each of the members of the committee took in preparation for that meeting. So I'm happy to say that we've got the 6 candidates. The next phase is an oral phase where the candidates will meet with our consultants. Then they'll come back and they'll meet with the committee. That will happen on the next meeting will happen the last week of this month. So in addition, I just wanted to make one thing very clear, that I had lengthy conversations with Chief McGowan, and with all of the sergeants on staff currently. And prior to this process, we knew it was going to be lengthy, and we knew that we would run up against Chief McGowan's actual retirement date, where he needed to exercise his actual retirement, that we couldn't keep him any longer. And we let him know that we were very, very comfortable with his choices within the department of acting chiefs. I think he's made a great one, as I just want to echo what Michael said. And I also just want to be on record of saying any of the sergeants who have been the officer in charge for a day, a weekend, a week, while the chief is away, while Todd was away, while Ryan was away, any of the chiefs who are typical in the order, I'm sorry, sergeants who are in the order, we were very satisfied that we'd be in very good hands. So that's where we are with the chief search. On the very same night, we had the Hale update with Open Space Committee. The Open Space Committee met on Tuesday, thoroughly vetted the strategy and where we are in these critical next few months. So we are in a little bit of a situation where we want to be sure Westwood is up to date and is on board where with the CR. We want to have the CR frequently asked questions, and we want to have a map of Hale and their proposal at each of the 4 Dover activities that are going to be townwide in the next month. Specifically, on Saturday, we have Dover Days. We invite everybody who's listening and everybody who's going to watch this to Dover Days on Saturday. There'll be lots of information about Hale and where we are in the town.
John, excuse me, is
Yes.
that really the sort of the formal kickoff? Because I really haven't seen much about it, about Hale.
I'm sorry, Bob. I didn't
I
hear what you
haven't
said.
seen very much sort of in the public space about what's been going on. So is this more or less this the start of a concentrated campaign?
Yes, and here's the problem with exactly what you just said, that DA and all of DA's material and everything that she has reported from the trustees and the trustees committee, the trustees consultants, all of the outreach work that we want to get started, and DA and the trustees want to get started immediately, can't be done until Westwood agrees with the language of the CR. So we can't, DA,
You
our
can't ju-
people can't jump the gun until we're all on the same page. I think everybody would agree we're very close, but we're not there. So we have Saturday, we have 3 back to school nights on the 14th, 21st, and 28th, where we will be at each of the schools and present to meet and greet and talk to literally every parent that walks through the door of those 3 schools.
Thank you. Rob, any questions for John, or are you good?
Good.
Okay, so I took a look at the upcoming agendas. I didn't see anything that looked out of line. I don't know if you guys had a chance to look.
No, I agree with you, Bob.
Okay. BOS goals and objectives. I would say that one of the things that there are 2 things that have happened that I think are important in this one. We drafted up a BOS roles and responsibilities document. We syndicated it among the board as well as Mike. It looks to me like we're going to be in pretty good shape with that document. It's probably a first of its kind for Dover. Once we get real agreement and we finalize the draft, we will syndicate that to the other boards and committees for comments. And then hopefully we will be able to, I don't know if it goes to policy or it becomes part of the process. So that BOS roles and responsibilities document seems to be moving along quite well. I would really hope that we can get that finalized before the end of September. So that was one.
Yeah, Bob, I think we can get there even sooner than that.
Soon as we can do it, Robin, as soon.
Yeah, no, because it's just wordsmithing at this point.
Yeah, I think that's right, but I
Right, so
but I
just.
want to get consensus.
Yeah.
I want to get, make sure we have
Right.
consensus as well. So that's good. The other thing is the warrant committee, as part of the dialogue between the Board of Selectmen and the warrant committee, we've used one of the communications consultants to take a look at all of their material and how they interact and engage with the town during the work, run up to town meeting. Carl Valente, myself, Peter Smith, and the consultant had about an hour meeting today going over some of the concerns and recommendations. But it seems to, and Peter Smith seemed quite pleased to sort of get the feedback from the consultant. So I think what we're going to, going forward, we're going to be looking at how to revise the flow of information that we provide the residents to do a better job of communicating sort of at a higher level. And trying to make sure that we incorporate, or they incorporate, sort of the goals and priorities of the board, so that when people are assessing what we're doing, there's better context. And then there are several, sort of moving into multiple media channels we discussed to make sure that the information is available. We talked about doing explanations of various controversial or complex warrant articles with sort of YouTube tutorials. So there was a fair amount going on there. I have not been able to move forward on warrant committee roles and responsibilities because the chairman has been on vacation. And I believe that he gets back on this weekend. And then the warrant committee is going to have to sit down, have a meeting or two, and start to wrestle with the question of their roles and responsibilities going forward. So I was pretty pleased with limited progress that we made, that things are moving in the right direction. And then the corollary to this is the reformatting of town meeting, which I've laid out a couple of different ways and follows essentially the model that we used in last May. And I'm going to I will in the next couple of days touch base with Dave and Jim and Felicia to see where they all stand on this, as well as warrant committee. So that's teed up for later on the month. The other question is on Carroll. Obviously, there is more asbestos than they anticipated. I looked back in my notes. People were warned as early as 2018 that there was probably more asbestos in that building that people realized. So it's no surprise that there was more asbestos in the building. It's just a question of why wasn't there assessment of the asbestos in the building more accurate. But that'll be taken up at the 11th meeting of the building committee, and we'll pick that up later on in the month. I think that the other things on goals and objectives, really I'll wait until the town administrators update, because we're still talking about things like staffing. And I believe there's a couple of interviews next week for the assistant town administrator position. And then we're talking about making sure we have things in place to begin to redesign and update the website. And last time I spoke with Mike, they were trying to arrange a meeting with Civic Plus.
Yep. And Bob, I think we should just also add, I'm sending it along to Civic Plus. I appreciate you and your daughter did some mock-ups, but I'm sending that to Civic Plus because it was very impressive, and I'm hopeful that they can incorporate that into our redesign, the way Bob and his daughter kind of envisioned the website working, which I think is just very intuitive and makes a lot of sense. So I appreciate that. That really helps me quite a bit.
So now I know what my daughter does. I mean, I'm gonna tell you, I mean, I talked to her about it, and I said, here's some ideas, and what you can do these days is like magic. I mean, it's unbelievable. You have these framework things, and you just plop stuff in there, and you move it around, and it's like doing auto sketch. It's just blew me away. Anyway, hopefully it's helpful, and when I could grab her attention and sort of tweak some of this stuff, as Robin would say, I try to do that. But I think the basic approach is pretty solid, and it looks like the way we laid it out, you can easily get to where you want to be, one touch. So if you look at the landing page, it has a bunch of tabs and has a bunch of things underneath it. Then there's white space where you have sort of and again, this all has to be verified with data, but I have sort of things that I anticipated people wanted to get to directly, like COA or schools or public safety or transfer station or park and rec. And so you could just go to the front page, click, and you go right to their website. The discussion that we had this morning also included the idea of Dover as the overall brand for the town. It's a Dover brand. And that the products are the different town departments who offer a series of services to the community. And we're working with that layout. And at least on the Etch-a-Sketch, it looked pretty damn good. So thank you, Michael.
Bob, could I just make one more comment before we
Sure.
move on to the item 118 is the depth of work that the consultant did with the applicants on the police chief screening, both in these first two rounds. I realize I might have just minimalized some of this work. It is extensive. The consultant, both consultants are police chiefs. They wrote 12 questions that they received from us for each applicant at this last phase. So 12 applicants received 11 questions from us, and they wrote a written response to each of those 11 questions. So each member of the committee read each applicant's answers to their questions at least twice. If you think about the volume of material that we have read through on these applicants over the past 2 months, it is extensive. And I just wanted to add that depth to give you a little bit of clarity as to how much work not only our consultants, the applicants, and the committee have put into this whole process. We have a very diverse group of applicants, and I think the town is going to be very well served by the amount of detail that's gone into this process. So,
Hey, John, I mean, I'm very, keeping my fingers crossed that that this process seems to be going along pretty smoothly and pretty harmoniously, but pretty much like the search for our town administrator. We're getting really too good at this. We need to stop being so good at this. Keep people around so we don't have to go through. But it's very pleasing to hear that. It really is. Hey, Bill, we'll get back to you in a couple of minutes, okay? I'm going to finish off our agenda and then circle back to the to your item.
Sure,
Okay, great.
sure.
Rob,
Just give me a sense of the time on that, just if you could.
we're pretty darn close to the end.
Good. Oh, no, all good. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm here.
5
Take
minutes,
time.
maybe 10.
Sure.
Rob, you got stuff for us? Do you have things for us?
I think you guys covered everything. I would just like to say that I think, the roles and responsibilities that were drafted for the Board of Selectmen are really a great template that we should then have other boards do the same thing and put it up on their webpage, because it's just in plain English describes, the roles of those committees, which I think just may be helpful to citizens of the town.
And
Maybe
to the
when
future
they're
people.
thinking about volunteering. So, I really think the way it was set up would be a great template to follow. And
So,
should go.
so I'm hoping that the next one is really the warrant committee.
That's what I was hoping too. I think it's a lot easier when you have a template to follow something. And it just, I mean, I don't know what happened after weeks of pondering, it just kind of came together.
Yeah, it did. 3 days.
Actually,
3 days we got the first
Right,
draft.
in days it got done, so it's really not a heavy lift.
So yes, I couldn't agree more. So we will. So I do have. Whatever happened to the water resource task force recommendations?
They're being finalized.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a report. There's a big report that's getting pulled together. Part of what's delaying it is we decided to expand the scope so that we could have the consultant do a modeling exercise that would try and simulate the capacity of the aquifer, because that was a question that kept coming up. And we applied for a grant because we believed we could, it qualified for the grant. And the grant has gone through phase 1 of the grant process, and it was approved. And now the auditors are checking the work of the first committee. So hopefully within a month or so, we will have the grant, and then they can actually begin the work of doing the model, which they say will take about 2 months. And then we will have a final report put together.
Okay, yeah, I didn't want that to get lost. I was looking at some
No,
of
it's not lost.
my old
It's
lists. Okay.
Carl Valente has been great, just helping shepherd this process. He and I just joke about the bureaucracy to get this grant approved by the various committees that need to approve it, and making sure we're on their agendas when, you know, you read it and it looks like it's the right fit for what we're trying to do.
So people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
No, so it's coming along. Everything else is done though.
Excellent, thank you very much. Mr. Town Administrator, it looks like it might be your turn.
Sure, and I can be brief. So Bob, as you mentioned, we do have 2 final interviews for the Assistant Town Administrator position next week. Bob serving as the board representative, so we're very excited about that. Also really happy that this week Jasmine Farnici restarted as a new town planner, which is
Good,
just
that's perfect.
very, very exciting. Part of that, as the board I think is aware, and much of the community is, we seem to unfortunately be a hotbed of 40B activity.
Yeah, that's really going through the roof.
Within the last few weeks. So, you know, there is a project currently before the ZBA now, a Trout Brook project. As the board knows, we've had conversations, very preliminary, with Pulte Homes for a development on Junction Street. That's not a formal application at this point, but just doing their due diligence on the site. And we, as the board knows, we also received notification from Mass Housing that another 40B has filed with the state on Tisdale Avenue for apartments. And this abuts the currently under construction Red Robins project. And so Jasmine's timing is terrific. Is again, the planning board doesn't necessarily the approval body for these 40B projects, but certainly plays a role. So I'm very excited to have her on board. Regarding that Tisdale Ave 40B project, we do have a staff site walk next week. And then we'll be reaching out to boards and committees, asking them to provide comments on the proposal to you, the selectmen, who then in turn will send those comments along to Mass Housing. So we'll continue to move that along. If you haven't been to Town Hall recently, it looks a little different. The dumpsters and containers have left. They've finished the installation of the new windows, which is really exciting. There is still some interior work left, some staining, but the actual installation is complete. So people are very excited about that. The windows open and close. Although we've had them closed the last couple of days because we had the AC on, but it's a very nice improvement. It's visually and functionally very nice.
When is does the roof work start soon or not?
We don't have a date on that yet, but we're hoping that'll start soon.
We're waiting for material, I believe.
No, the windows look fantastic.
Right,
Yeah.
they look really good.
They're terrific. And then lastly, is the public, I think, is aware, we've tried to get word out there. The work on the Claybrook Road culvert has started last week. There is a detour in place, and we just thank residents for their patience as we complete this really important work. And that's all I had for tonight.
Mike, I have one question for you just regarding the Tisdale site walkthrough. Are we allowed to go with you? Can the board go be part of that?
My suggestion is that if a member of the board wanted to, I'd be concerned if multiple members, it becomes a potential open meeting. If there's conversation and things like that, but if we did include the land use board chairs on the email. So, I think individual boards could make a decision if they wanted to send a representative.
Okay. So I do have a follow-up question. Planning board at one point in time asked us to make sure that if we had a fall town meeting, that the town center bylaws were going to be included. Has that gone away? Is that in play? What's going on there?
Sure. So that conversation happened before I started, but as I understand it, the intention would be that if Hale is indeed a special town meeting, that the planning board would kind of piggyback, for lack of a better term, on that meeting to present their articles. As John mentioned, the Hale process is still moving forward. And yes, John's not wrong. We are waiting on Westwood, but there are also some concerns from Dover's legal counsel and Hale as well that have held up the release of that draft to the public. So the hope in the intention, we're still proceeding with the hopes of a fall town meeting, but obviously I personally get a little concerned how quickly that can happen as we continue to go without releasing the document to the public.
Yeah, no, but I just remember Carol being insistent that they had a shot to get it done this year.
Yeah, so I mean, the hope is the fall town meeting will still happen with Hale, and I believe that would be the intention at that point, to have the planning board could present articles in that meeting.
Okay, Robin, do you know anything about it? I mean, you've talked to Carol about it, or not?
Not recently. I do not believe there would be a need just to have a town meeting for the planning board articles. I think they thought it would be just a way. Here is Carol now, so she can speak to it.
Where is she? Hello, Carol.
She
We're on.
just joined again.
Hello, so my apologies, I've stepped away for a bit as I have guests for the weekend. So what is the question?
I just was wondering if you guys are still planning on doing the town center bylaw issues that we talked about back in May at the proposed, or if we have the November Hale special town meeting. So are you basically?
We certainly won't have anything ready for November. We have a whole bunch of initiatives that we're working on relative to the village center, tree bylaw, we have the MPA communities, we have a floodplain map acceptance that we have to do this year. So depending on how productive we are now that we have a full-time town planner, yay.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. She's wonderful. She's already right into the weeds. We may have, some number of zoning bylaws, depending what we have. Some of them might be simple, some of them might be difficult to handle in 8 minutes or 10 minutes. So I think we'll have to see how it goes, but it certainly wouldn't be until sometime in 2024.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Carol, for the update.
So, I think we should mention, because it is next week and people are very interested in the Pulte application. So there is a public hearing on the application on 9/13 regarding the NRAD application for wetlands. So it's a Concom, I believe, public hearing. So it is on the website.
Is
So
it highlighted in a news flash, or is it buried?
So the planning board is taking the lead right now on all the Pulte homes coordination and transparency. So we'll be once the Concom agenda gets posted, which will be either tomorrow or Monday for the Wednesday meeting, we'll be sending out an email to all those that have contacted us to be added to an email list. And we'll also do an email blast through the Dover homepage website, those that had signed up, and it will be on the Dover page. So we're actually found that we've actually had more Medfield citizens sign up than Dover citizens.
Carol, how do people get on that website? Get on the your mailing?
So in the September digital newsletter, we included a quick update on Pulte. We mentioned that if anybody's interested in getting on the email list, just to contact Sue Hall at doverma.gov. Sue's our planning administrator. And she's keeping a group email list for communications.
Terrific. Okay, thank you.
It's also been noted on various Facebook pages and social media outside government stuff.
Yeah, somebody mentioned this
You-
morning, it might have been Peter Smith, that Facebook seems to be outpacing the newsletter in terms of usage, viewers. So that might be, that since we have multiple channels, we should take advantage of all of the channels.
But we
Yeah, I'm sure you know that.
being the planning board and the Dover Recycling Committee, the two things I'm involved in, we've been using the private Dover MA Facebook page and next door,
Mhm.
as well as the government stuff. The private Dover MA Facebook page has, I think, 1,100 folks on it, which is orders of magnitude more than anything.
That newsletter, yeah, no, it's terrific. Yep.
The newsletter is fantastic, but again, it's also a monthly thing.
Right, no, yeah,
It serves a different purpose. If you look at the town of Needham, that has two different weekly communication vehicles now. They do an absolutely unbelievable job. And they do a weekly newsletter from town government that is the most comprehensive thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, they have a comprehensive full-time
Exactly.
social media person.
Yeah.
that's always important too, Jeff.
It's always a matter of resources.
Yes, it is. Okay, well, thank you. I am now going to circle back to item 1.5. Award bid to Dish Wireless LLC for lease of space on existing tower and ground space at the Dover Highway Department facility parcel. And I think the guy who's going to take us through this is Mr. Solomon. Bill, welcome.
Thank you very much. And first, let me say hi to Michael, who I met and to some degree worked with in Easton when he's assistant, and the town's very fortunate to have Michael aboard. You've always had strong town administrators, and it's a good fit. So congratulations to both of you, and thank you. By way of explanation, but not excuse, I had a meeting this afternoon in the North Shore, and it's today is both my wife's birthday and the delayed field hockey game of my kids because of the temperature. So between all those things and the Monday holiday, I had no idea it was Thursday. So thank you, Mona, for calling me and letting me know, because the weeks go fast with those Monday holidays, even without the Monday holidays.
Well,
So-
Bill, we've been through your presentations in depth many times. We were just commenting, before you came on, that how thorough you have been on our behalf with all of the applicants for the tower and for the communication. I'm sure this is no different. So if you
thank
wanted
you.
to just give us
No, I will. Yeah, I just
summary
wanted
of
to share those with you.
Yeah.
And we pride ourselves on not having air conditioning here in our place in Western Mass, but it's when it gets to be fall, it's like it's a little too late for the heat. So thank you. So as you know, and thank you for the Select Board Member Jeffries for the kind words. We had hoped we would get a fourth party on the tower. As you know, between the merger of T-Mobile and Sprint, they decided in the most recent bid process to just go for one of the apertures. And that meant that we would be leasing 3 and not 4, subject, of course, to whether or not one of those companies wanted an additional aperture after they thought about it, or Dish, which had been interested, decided not to bid and then quickly changed their mind, realizing this was an excellent fit for Dish and obviously a good fit for the town. So we have the bid in. The bid amount was the minimum bid of $55,000 a year. Has a 2.5% COLA. That means that the town, in a very unique situation, as you know, receives the rents from all 4 companies, not just from one company who then pays a portion of what other people pay them, but we receive the rent from all 4 companies, ranging from $55,000 to $57,000. So, over $20,000 a year, and that goes up 2.5%. And through the board's, wisdom on this and working together with the former town administrator and myself and Dave Maxon, who the RF consultant, we've tied in this for another 10 years, and there's 2 5-year renewals the companies have, but they almost always exercise those. So what we do is we have certainty for at least the next 10 years and probably longer at an amount that works for both parties. So the bid by Dish meets all of the bid requirements. As I said, the bid amount is $55,000. They submitted their application fee, the bid form, the bid deposit, the bid information sheet, the certificate of tax compliance, and the certificate of non-collusion. I've been working on the lease. I expect to be completed with that on Monday, and I'll coordinate with the town administrator a little bit on that. But my plan would be to get it to Dish and council on Tuesday. The lease is based on the attachments, the lease provisions that was in the request for bids. So there's no major surprises. And my hope would be that we would complete it with the lease back and forth and ready for this board to vote at your next meeting, depending on when that meeting is on the lease itself. So today I would ask that you would vote to award the bid to Dish, subject to the finalization of the lease. And then at the hopefully at the next meeting, we'll have the approval of the lease before you and the lease to be signed. Be happy to answer any questions or any comments. And thank you.
So
Seems
Bill,
like good news.
yeah, it sounds like, Bill, I think our next meeting is the 26th, Mike, is that right?
Right,
That's right.
it is.
Yeah,
Just
I
so you
mean,
know.
the challenge is it depends on the companies. Some of the companies are incredibly bureaucratic. That's true for T-Mobile. But Dish is newer here. They have a property person, and they have Jim Valeriani, a counsel out of the Boston area, there's none better. So I'm relatively optimistic that we'd have a good shot for that. I'll know that within a week to 10 days. I'll coordinate with Mona and with the town administrator, but for now that would be my goal to see if we can complete the lease for approval at that meeting.
Great, thank you. John, any questions?
I'm gonna read the motion if you would like, and
I'm going to read the motion.
oh yeah, sorry, you read the motion. I'll
All right,
second.
motion. I move to award the bid to Dish Wireless LLC for the leasing of the 4th and final space on the existing communications tower at the Highway Department facility based on its bid, subject to finalization of the lease document.
Seconded.
All in favor, I, Bob Springett.
I, John Jeffries.
Hi, Robin Hunter.
Done.
So Bill, you can go back to, what is it, Wednesday for you?
Yeah, well, no, it's still Thursday, although I think field hockey will be over, but the birthday celebration, my wife is a town administrator, as I always proudly say, in Leverett, Massachusetts, next to Amherst and Shutesbury, and so she's at the field hockey game. When she gets back, we'll celebrate her birthday. Is the
Happy
meeting
birthday.
the 28th?
26th, Bill.
Okay,
26th.
no, at the Tuesday. So I
Yeah,
do.
we had to move it because Robin has some gala that she has to attend.
Okay, no, I do have a
26th at
hearing that night
6:30.
that I need to attend, but it depends on the timing of it. Moreover, it may be that I could just zoom in, and I'm not, won't be, it may be even my presence isn't absolutely necessary, that if it is, we could continue it. So I'll be in touch about that, but I'll try to make that work if the lease is completed. If not, we'd be at the next meeting.
Yeah, push it off to
It'll be next
October.
meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay. I just wanted to give it, you pencil it in. so
Yep.
you know that's the
Have it
meeting.
in. Well,
Okay.
thank you, board
Thank
members,
you
very
very
much. All right.
Thanks.
Good luck
Have
with
a
all
good
your new
one.
employees there and the planner too. Exciting.
Yeah, starting to fill up the place.
That's right.
So I'm gonna
Thank you.
move on.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. I'm gonna move on to item 1.9 consent agenda. Approve Tetra Tech proposal for applicant paid peer review of the Trout Brook Road 40B project. Approve Davis Square Architects proposal for applicant paid peer review for the Trout Brook Road 40B project. Approve Sunday, September 17th, 2023, closing of Windsor Road for block party. Approve ARPA funding for pump house equipment upgrade. Approve 2023 one-day special liquor licenses for September 6th and 7th.
Seconded.
All in favor? I, Bob Springer.
I, John Jeffries.
Hi, Robin Hunter.
So that was supposed to be done at 8:05. It is 8:05.
Oh, Bob, you are good.
I know, Robin.
Quick,
So-
quick, quick. What time is the adjournment?
The adjournment's now 8:10. I have 4 minutes to tell jokes or do a dance. Or
All
let
right,
you
well,
guys
we'll
go.
pass on that.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, so I make a motion to adjourn our meeting. Do I have,
Seconded.
all in favor? I, Bob Springer.
I, John Jeffries.
Oh my God, I almost forgot. I was waiting for the show. I, Robin Hunter.
All right, folks, we ripped through this, guys. So I want to thank you all for your participation, comments, questions, thoughtful observations. And we'll do it again in a couple of weeks.
Bob, can you show the Mancoon cats next time?
Oh, I don't let him in my office because I'm afraid of him.
Right.
Yeah, I'll grab him the next time.
Okay, because I'm allergic to them. Otherwise I'd come and see them, but
Oh, this guy is a sweetheart. He is unbelievable. His name should be Floppy because he just comes down and flops on the carpet and waits for people to pet him and groom him. That's what he's
that
doing.
is uncat-like.
He's very hedonistic, this cat. It's unbelievable.
Oh,
Oh, my God.
Again, have a good one. And it looks like the
You too.
weekend is going to be too bad. And maybe the humidity will be down and temperature will be down. Good to be outdoors in the early fall.
Dover days on Saturday.
Dover days on Saturday. All right, folks, thank you all very much. Have a wonderful night. And hopefully we can get that BOS document done on this soon.
I promise.
All
Thank
right.
you, everyone.
Okay.
Thank
bye.
you.
Thank you.
Good night.
All right.